Hello and welcome to the Marketplace. Coming up, Economist Dr. Daryl kicks against zero financing of government's budget by the Bank of Ghana, despite the central bank's 60.8 billion cedi record loss in 2022.
I do not support zero financing. This was handed over to us in the 2015 IMF program, and some of us wrote papers, articles, arguing the point that the Ghanaian economy is still a developing economy, and it's not right for zero financing.
Also coming up, former Finance Minister said Tekwe questions the ability of the central bank to conduct effective banking supervision of other banks following record losses.
Income is depleted, losses. He's not earning the portion of income from government, right? How is he going to do effective banking supervision?
And Ghana expected to finalize modalities to pave way for restructuring external debts after conclusion of domestic debts next month. My name is Daryl. Kwawu. Thanks for joining us. Details coming up. And thanks for staying with us, everyone. First up, Economist Dr. Daryl is kicking against the implementation of zero financing of government's budget by the Bank of Ghana. The central bank has vowed to strictly implement this program after posting a record loss of almost 61 billion Ghana cedis last year. But speaking on PM Express Business Edition, Dr. Sarkodie insisted there should be some level of Bank of Ghana financing of government expenditure.
The central bank is a bank of government. And so they did right by supporting their customer, which is the government, by bailing them out. So they did the right thing. Honestly, I think the Bank of Ghana did the right thing, except that, the mess was so huge, was so big that after helping their customer, who is the government, they also ended up with a loss. And that is why everybody is talking about it. If they had not ended up with a loss, I'm sure we will not be so much interested.
But Doc, the quick question I want to come in because of time, and sorry, please, is about what do we do to deal with the issue about never again protecting the Bank of Ghana and ensure that we reduce its exposure to government. Is the zero financing the way to go, Doc?
Well, let me start from where you ended. I do not support zero financing. This was handed over to us in the 2015 IMF program, and some of us wrote papers, articles, arguing the point that the Ghanaian economy is still a developing economy, and it's not right for zero financing.
Okay.
In fact, I haven't seen that in many countries in the world where there's a central 0% central bank financing. The government is the central bank is the bank of the government. Why are you saying that the bank should not give any funds to the government? So I do not support 0% financing. Maybe up to 5% of the previous year's tax revenue is fine. But again, why is the monetary policy not in a good shape? It's because of the fiscals. There's so much fiscal dominance. So two issues I would want to end. The fiscal dominance must be reduced. The fiscal policy must act right, i.e., there must be discipline in the finances. There must be discipline in revenue generation. There must be discipline in the expenditure, money.
Meantime, former Finance Minister said Tekwe has questioned the ability of the central bank to conduct effective banking supervision. The Bank of Ghana, as we've been telling you, recorded a loss of almost 61 billion Ghana cedis. Now, speaking on upfront, former Finance Minister said Tekwe said the central bank's depleted income could affect its operations.
I'm talking about the extent to which the bank will be weakened. We are not, even if no government would allow its central bank. Right? If we say it goes bankrupt, what does it mean? Are we saying that we won't have a central bank? How would we regulate, the banks? Bank of Ghana performs other functions, which it has to perform, right? Even on a very lean budget, bank supervision. So if all of its income is depleted, losses, he's not earning the portion of income from government. Right? How is he going to do effective banking supervision? How is he going to do all of that? Right? We know it. You know very well that even if you do not, it's just like the Ministry of Finance. If we say that the Ministry of Finance will never, collapse, it will never, and government is bankrupt, the government is still in court. The government is still spending, it's still borrowing T-bills mainly and others. It still has some money spending. It will get money from the IMF, the World Bank, and others. It will continue. It doesn't mean that, Ghana's state is weak.
Now, the Public Procurement Authority has warned of possible punitive measures for businesses operating with government but have failed to register onto the Ghana electronic procurement system. Now, the authority is asking the businesses to register or face some challenges in their line of operations. According to Deputy Chief Executive Officer Kwawu Prempeh, this move is to reduce procurement infractions. He spoke to Joy Business at a lecture on the overview of the Ghana electronic procurement system organized by the Ghana Institution of Engineering.
The authority says it seeks to ensure fairness, transparency, and non-discrimination in public procurement in order to promote a competitive local industry.
Businesses, that do business with government. So this is the matter of those that participate in public procurement. At this moment, we are practicing manual public procurement, right? But the country is moving from manual to electronic procurement. So in that case, all suppliers, consultants, and consultants who offer their services and their goods to government must be on this system to be able to continue to provide this service to government. Because if you are not on the system and the entity is not allowed to do manual procurement, then you cannot respond. So that is why it is key for all entities or all suppliers that work with government to register with PPA first and foremost, and then we ensure that you will be on the system, you will get your user credentials to be able to log in, then you can partake in any public procurement that you desire to partake in.
President for the Ghana Institution of Engineering, Engineer Kobina Bempon, however, urged the authority to deepen stakeholder consultation.
When it comes to procurement in general, the underlying word has to be fairness, value for money, and to ensure that there's transparency. Now, if these things get missing, then the integrity of the procurement process becomes questionable, and therefore we do not get the value that we require from the process. And we should also understand that this is the money that belongs to all of us, and therefore we should be interested.
The lecture was to delve into challenges confronting businesses and state agencies in relation to the Ghana electronic procurement system.
Now, Ghana's fintech industry has witnessed significant growth, leading to new opportunities for businesses and individuals, as well as challenges for regulators seeking to maintain a balance between innovation, consumer protection, and financial sector goals. With me on Zoom to discuss trends is John Appiah, Chief Executive Officer of eTransact Ghana Limited. Good afternoon to you. A pleasure to have you on the program. So, Ghana's economy has come under pressure. We've been talking a lot about it. How are fintechs navigating these economic challenges?
Thank you so much for having me on your show today. And we're very excited to be a part of a program like yours. Quickly, I'll just say that the whole idea of fintech, where we are, is that we're all about providing solutions. And so despite the economic downturn, despite what is happening around the world, we see that as opportunities to actually innovate. And in times where the economy is very tough, you find that innovation is key. How do you diversify your products to be able to increase financial inclusion and be able to make the customer happy? So an increase and a focus on customer experience, diversification of your products. Maybe you start going more into loans and insurance, and seeing how you can partner other institutions to increase customer experience and bring more products to bear.
So what are the opportunities and risks amid these economic challenges?
Well, to be honest, I don't see anything as risk. I see that even in times when you have what people would deem as risk, it's actually an opportunity to innovate, an opportunity to invent. And you look at the world around, some of our greatest inventions, like penicillin, were all accidental, or they came at a time when there was upheaval in the economy and people had to find alternatives. So the only thing that I see at the moment is that it's time to innovate. When the going gets tough, the tough get going. We have to innovate. We have to see how we increase customer experience. And we at eTransact, that is our focus. How do we simplify people's lives by bringing solutions, digital solutions that make their life easier? And of course, we have issues around cybersecurity and fraud, which are really big risks. But at eTransact as well, I think we're working very hard, as well as other fintechs, to make sure that we're able to protect customer data and increase their user experience.
Well, we talk about cybersecurity. In recent times, there's been a rise in digital fraud, especially online loan scams. Is this something players in the fintech industry are concerned about?
Oh, yes, definitely. Because you see, the one thing about fraud is that it erodes confidence. It erodes confidence in technology. It erodes confidence in the fintech area. So if, for example, there's a bridge that you are always crossing and you realize that every time you cross the bridge, someone robs you on the bridge, you stop taking that bridge. And financial technology, fintech, is actually a bridge. It's a bridge that we use to offer financial services to people through mobile handsets, through the web. So we don't want to erode the confidence in the system. But I think we've been able to place our hands on the pulse and find ways in which we reduce this erosion of trust in the system. Education is key, for instance. We have to continue educating ourselves as well as our clients and our customers on the common areas that people usually do fraudulent activities. Another area is in terms of real-time alerts. You know, when transactions happen, we want to be able to alert customers in real time so that they know if there's an unusual login from a device that has never been used, or there's an unusually large amount of some type of money moved around. You know, you alert the customer to be able to verify whether they are actually behind this. And another one is the KYC process. What begins is what ends. You know, the input dictates the output. Our KYC process has to be robust, such that the verification of IDs are robust, so that we make sure that the people we're dealing with are the actual people transacting. And encryption of details and the data of our customers is key. And at eTransact, you have all their certification, we're ISO certified, to ensure that data is encrypted, customer data is well kept and well respected. And so I think with these things in place, and the fintech industry is being able to find a way in which to help in the fight against cybersecurity and fraud.
Well, as government looks to raise more revenue, there has been an issue with taxes. How does your industry welcome taxes?
Well, you know, they said there's two certain things in life, which is death and taxes. So we know that taxes will definitely happen. And taxes on its own is not a bad thing. All around the world, you realize that in countries where the tax bracket is quite wide, and public services are increased. But I think, like with everything in life, it's about trying to find an equilibrium between taxing and being able to stifle innovation. And we pray for a system where we're able to pay our taxes, but we're allowed to still be innovative. Because when you have very high or excessive taxes, especially for smaller fintechs, you know, this can cripple fintechs predominantly, and it doesn't allow them to be competitive. We're living in a global era where, as fintechs or technology companies, we're competing with other tech companies or fintech companies around the world. So we need to remain competitive. If the taxes we're paying in Ghana are excessive and too high, you find out that business ends up going to other countries, and we are not being able to be competitive with other countries.
What's your outlook, do you think, for the fintech industry for the rest of the year? And while you talk about innovation, I mean, what sort of innovation would make us achieve our financial sector goals as a country?
Well, innovations that deal with the main areas, of this sector. So, for instance, around gold, around oil, around insurance, around financial inclusion, anything that allows the bracket to be widened, I think is a good thing, because you see, financial inclusion is a pillar of development. And once we're able to help more people to access the world of finance through credit, through savings, through insurance, it actually becomes a building block that affects different parts of society, from health to education to welfare, so it's absolutely vast. In terms of outlook, I see this trend in digitalization to continue. If you look around the world now, 1 in every $4 has been spent on VCs investing in fintechs. So I see this drive for digitalization to continue. Like I said in the earlier on when I joined, we at Intransact, our message is simplify your life. And I think that is what fintechs and technology is bringing to bear. We're helping to simplify people's lives by bringing solutions to them that enhance their life. And so that's why I see the trend in fintech increasing.
John Appiah, Chief Executive, eTransact Ghana Limited, thank you so much for joining us on the marketplace. Well, back to our top story to do with Economist, Dr. Edu Susako. They're kicking against the implementation of the Bank of Ghana's zero financing policy, saying that there has to be a level or some level of Bank of Ghana funding, if you like, for government expenditure. Join us on Zoom to react to this, Professor John Gachi, Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School. Appreciate your time with us. Good afternoon to you. So where do you stand on this topic of zero financing of government budget by the Bank of Ghana?
Well, thank you. Well, there is no way in a developing country like ours that you should accept zero financing of government activities. In the past, we were using about 10% of previous year tax revenue, but that was revised by the IMF program that we had in 2015, and that program was insistent that we should have zero financing. But in the wisdom of Parliament of Ghana, they decided that, okay, let us slash it by half to make it 5%. So I do not think that we have to go to zero financing of government activities by the central bank. But the issue has to do with whether we show fidelity to our own laws. We have been violating the provisions, and that is why the problem is. In the current instance that we're talking about, the violation is just so alarming and mind-boggling to accept. And again, if we are not able to show fidelity to our own provisions of the law, that will allow inroad into central bank activities unnecessarily, and that will be undermining the independence of the central bank.
I mean, I think this call is coming because of people are pushing it because of what we've seen happen last year, where the Bank of Ghana posted a record loss of almost 61 billion Ghana cedis. Earlier, we heard from former Finance Minister Tekpe, who questioned the ability of the central bank to conduct effective banking supervision because of this. But we've also heard from the IMF, which has also downplayed some of these concerns, saying that what we saw happen last year would not affect the central bank's ability to carry out its policy mandate. You agree?
I do not agree, because every policy mandate has an outcome. So central bank has been able to carry out its mandate over the period. So let's take from 2022 December up to today. Exchange rate was 6 cedis to the dollar, but today we are talking about 11.5 Ghana cedis. Inflation was near single digit, but we are talking of inflation around 43%. Interest rate was around 14%. That's talking about the policy rate, but now we're talking about 30%. And the lending rate, you can imagine what it is. So has the central bank been able to perform its mandate effectively and to the appreciation of the economy? That is a question. So if you say your financial records is not directly related to your ability to perform your mandate, that is to underplay the essence of financial report. Financial reports give us the health, the financial health of the institutions, and the ability of the institution to be in going concern. And if you look at the audit report was concerned whether the Bank of Ghana can be a going concern entity, whether the Bank of Ghana can be able to service its liabilities when they fall due, because we are talking about a kind of insolvency, because the total liability is more than total assets. And again, we are talking about negative equities. If a financial institutions like a central bank, a regulator, has both deeper losses and at the same time a negative equity, that call for concern. So we cannot wish away this matter. Of course, it is the activities of the central bank that allow the IMF to come, so the IMF can give support. Of course, it is very clear that it is lending excessively to government that caused the problem we're talking about. So I'm not sure the IMF is saying something so different. IMF is not patting the central bank on the back for violating. If that is the case, the IMF will not be pressing for zero financing. So the statement of the IMF has nothing to do with whether the central bank has been able to obey the laws, have been able to stay focused. But it is true that they have lent excessively to government, and through the debt exchange program, that has had an effect on the books.
Right. Indeed, the IMF expects the Bank of Ghana's net equity to improve significantly over time and eventually return to a positive territory. And so, again, while that is good news, we haven't done much. And like you say, the IMF has been pushing for it to ensure the independence of the central bank. So how do we prevent a repeat of what we saw last year?
I think that should not be coming from the IMF. That should be coming from the managers of the central bank. That's what we are expecting, that they should come out and give us the roadmap, that we believe that negative equity will turn around. We believe that we'll reduce it by this percentage or this amount by the end of this year. By the end of next year, we will reduce it by this amount. So you assure the public that you are able to do something to turn the things around, to make it positive. But the explanation by the Bank of Ghana is so insulting, so arrogant, that I don't think we can bear that. Nobody is saying that an entity cannot make a loss and turn around. But making such a huge loss in 1 year, you need to actually explain it very well and to assure the stakeholders the program you put in place to ensure that this will not occur again. And that is what the central bank is lacking. And the IMF could not be the spokesperson for the central bank.
I just want to turn attention to the IMF program as we still have some time. The latest update on external debt restructuring is that Ghana is now expected to finalize modalities with the official creditor committee to pave way for the restructuring. It is said to be the last level of engagement. So it appears we may be on track to getting a deal on external debt restructuring. And looking at the progress we've made with the domestic debt restructuring as well, looks good, doesn't it?
Well, normally external debt restructuring is a good news because it has no effect on your economy. So if that happens, it's a good news. But of course, that will not erase the challenges of Ghana. The restructured debt, whether we are in position to repay, is a question of time.
All right. Thank you so much, Professor John Gachie. Good to speak with you. It's been a while. Now, the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Maritime Authority in charge of operations and technical, Daniel Epinim, says the implementation of the cabotage regime will strengthen security in Ghana's waters as it would improve the ability to monitor vessels operating on our seas. Speaking at a stakeholders' engagement on cabotage regulation in Takoradi, he said a successful implemented cabotage regime would result in robust and vibrant local maritime industry for economic benefits. Natalia Kwanzaa has more in the following report.
Security threats at sea and efforts made by government to fully exploit the blue economy means a more strategic approach to the sector. The Cabotage Regulation or Ghana Shipping Regulation 2021 LI 2438 is the legislative framework that controls the movement of commodities or people by foreign-owned or operated ships between domestic ports and the nation's territorial waters. Director of Maritime Service Division, Nana Boache Kobna Bwampong, in his address said it signifies a pivotal stride towards safeguarding the interest of indigenous Guinean vessel operators, ship owners, and seafarers.
The Ghana Shipping Cabotage Regulations 2021 signify a pivotal stride towards nurturing sustainable growth and development within our maritime domain. By safeguarding the interests of our indigenous Ghanaian vessel operators, ship owners, and seafarers, these regulations are poised to harness our maritime resources effectively and contribute to our nation's overall economic prosperity.
Deputy Director General of Ghana Maritime Authority in charge of operations and technical, Daniel Ampienin, indicated collaboration between local maritime operators and foreign maritime specialists are expected to promote the transfer of knowledge, which would enable marine workforce to develop individual experience and abilities.
And that's our program this afternoon. Thanks for watching, everyone. More news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Our top stories there. Gridco registers 99.5% reduction in profit to 1.296 million cedis, Auditor General's report. Also, on our website, Ghana pursues double taxation bilateral investment treaties with Trinidad and Tobago. So you can head there, myjoyonline.com/business for the latest stories to read over the weekend. My name is Daryl. Thanks for watching. We'll be back same time next week.